Have you ever noticed how, in the quietest moments of your life, a soft nudge seems to echo from somewhere beyond? It's not the loudness of the world or the voices of others that truly reach you. It's that still, gentle knowing deep in your chest, and perhaps, for years, you've felt that something was waiting just out of sight, like a light hidden under layers of dust. Today, I want to invite you to lean into that feeling. I remember my grandmother used to say, the quietest miracles are often the ones that change everything. She would tell me how in the hush of dawn, she'd hear the whispers of blessings waiting to find her. Back then, I didn't fully understand. I thought miracles had to be dramatic, lightning bolts, fanfare, headlines, but life has a way of teaching you otherwise. As we journey together through this story, you'll see how what was meant for you has always been yours, even when it seemed lost or stolen. You'll see how the divine doesn't shout to get your attention. It waits for you to be still enough to listen, and you'll begin to understand that your hidden wealth, whether it's money, purpose, or a simple moment of peace, has been waiting for this exact moment to return. So, take a breath. Let the noise fade into the background. Today, we're not chasing miracles. We're letting them unfold in their own quiet, beautiful way. Because sometimes, the greatest breakthroughs don't come with fireworks. They come in the tender stillness of a soul that's ready to receive. They say that secrets have power, but the greatest strength is found in the secrets you keep safe within. It's a truth I've learned many times over, how the most beautiful treasures in life are those protected by our quiet resolve. Imagine an old friend who's saved every letter you've ever written, never sharing them with the world, but cherishing them like precious stones. Or think of a neighbor who quietly tends a garden behind a tall fence, never boasting about the beauty inside. In both cases, their silence isn't about fear, it's about respect, reverence, and trust. When it comes to the blessings and breakthroughs waiting for you, the same principle applies. The divine doesn't rush or demand. It waits to see if your spirit is strong enough to hold the secret until the right time. Because what's meant for you isn't meant to be shared too soon or flaunted like a prize. It's meant to be nurtured, cared for, until it's ready to bloom in the world. I remember a friend of mine, Mary, who felt something shift in her life after a dream she had one night. She didn't tell anyone, even though she was bursting with excitement. She said, "It felt like if I spoke it out loud, I might lose it." And sure enough, within weeks, an unexpected opportunity appeared, an old door opening wide just for her. Mary's story taught me that some blessings need our silence, like a seed needs darkness to sprout. The lesson here is simple, but profound. Keep what's precious to you close to your heart. Let your quiet faith be the soil in which your dreams take root, because the divine moves in whispers, not in shouts, and only those who can hold that whisper will see it blossom. In a moment, we'll look deeper into the very essence of what's being restored to you. Because even if you've felt overlooked, there's a wealth that's always belonged to you, just waiting to return. Hidden wealth isn't always about money. It's about the parts of you that have been overlooked, the dreams you tucked away, and the gifts you didn't even know were yours. Sometimes it's a skill you haven't used in years, a passion you thought was just a hobby, or a quiet confidence you forgot how to embrace. Hidden wealth is what's been buried under doubt and fear, waiting for you to remember its worth. I think about my Uncle Robert, who spent most of his life working with his hands, fixing things around the neighborhood. Everyone saw him as the guy who could patch a leaky faucet or mend a fence. But what they didn't see was his knack for solving problems and finding creative ways to make things work again. It wasn't until he was in his 60s, after he retired, that he realized those same skills could be turned into a thriving little business. He started small, helping friends, and soon enough, he was making more money than he ever had before, doing something he truly loved. Uncle Robert's story is a reminder that what's hidden isn't gone. It's just waiting to be claimed. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You don't need to prove it to anyone else. Hidden wealth doesn't need applause to exist. It just needs your belief. So if you've ever felt like there's something inside you that the world has forgotten, an idea, a calling, or a quiet skill that brings you peace, know that it still belongs to you. And as we move ahead, we'll see how the universe has been working behind the scenes to bring what's yours back to your doorstep. There's something special that happens when the universe decides it's time to speak your name out loud, when signs and symbols begin to swirl around you like little messages from the divine. It can feel subtle at first, like a gentle nudge in the dark, but it's there if you're willing to see it. Maybe you've noticed it too, a certain number that keeps showing up, or a song that always seems to find you in the quietest moments. Take my friend Margaret, for instance. After her husband passed away, she felt adrift, unsure of what her life was meant to be now. One day, she started seeing the number 444 everywhere, on receipts, on license plates, even in the time on her clock. At first, she thought it was just a strange coincidence. But slowly, she realized it was a gentle push, whisper saying, "You're not alone. You're being watched over." That small sign gave her the courage to start painting again, a passion she'd put aside for decades. And with every brushstroke, she felt herself coming back to life. Margaret's story shows us that the universe doesn't always shout. It leaves clues, like breadcrumbs leading you back to your own hidden magic. The lesson here is to be open, even when you don't understand why something keeps appearing, because every little sign is a thread, weaving a story that's meant just for you. And as we step into this next part of the journey, remember, the signs aren't there to confuse you. They're there to confirm that what's been lost is on its way back, piece by piece, like a puzzle you're finally ready to complete. Sometimes the biggest obstacle between us and our blessings isn't what's out there. It's the quiet voice of doubt inside, that voice that tells us you're too old, or it's too late, or maybe this miracle isn't meant for you. I've seen it in so many people I love, and I've felt it myself more than once. I remember a man named George who lived just down the street. He was always the first to help others, the first to volunteer, but when it came to asking for help or even believing in something good for himself, he'd shut down. I'm too set in my ways, he'd say. I'm too late to start over. But deep down, he carried a dream to open a little cafe, a place where people could gather, sip coffee, and feel at home. One day, after months of walking past an empty shop for rent, he finally took the chance. And you know what? It worked. Not because he had all the answers, but because he finally decided to stop letting doubt be the loudest voice in the room. The cafe became more than a business. It was a community, a place where neighbors laughed, shared stories, and felt seen. George taught me that doubt doesn't have to be a life sentence. It's just a feeling, not a fact. And when you learn to see it for what it is, whisper from the past, not a truth about your future, you can step forward anyway. As we continue, let's remember the divine doesn't wait for your confidence to be perfect. It just asks for your trust, one quiet step at a time. We often think of inheritance as something that only exists on paper, a will, a trust, a deed passed down through generations. But there's another kind of inheritance that's even more powerful, and it doesn't come with a lawyer or a courtroom. It's the quiet sense of worth that's been waiting in your spirit since the day you were born. I once met a woman named Eleanor who found herself tangled in an unexpected battle over her family's property. She spent years fighting through paperwork, feeling like her identity was buried under forms and signatures. But she told me that the real turning point didn't happen in an office. It happened the day she realized that what was truly hers didn't need a stamp of approval from anyone else. She said, "My name carries more weight in my soul than on any piece of paper." Eleanor's story is a gentle reminder that sometimes the biggest restoration happens inside of us, long before it ever shows up in the world. It's the moment you claim your birthright, not just as an heir to a house or a plot of land, but as someone whose life has always had meaning and value, no matter what anyone else has said. This is what it means when we talk about spiritual inheritance. It's not about what others think you're owed. It's about what the divine has always known you deserve. And as we move forward, we'll see how this inner restoration begins to ripple out into the world around you, turning closed doors into open pathways and reawakening everything that was once lost. Have you ever felt a sudden chill when no window was open, or a warm wave that had no source? These little moments can feel like passing breezes, but they're often the first signs that something bigger is at work. Our bodies, after all, are some of the most sensitive instruments of the divine. They respond to energy long before our minds can catch up. I think of my cousin, Ray, who shared a story with me not long ago. He had been feeling tired and uneasy for weeks, a weariness that didn't seem to come from his long days at work. One night, he woke up in a sweat, convinced that something was shifting around him. The next day, he received a letter that changed his life, chance to retire early and pursue a dream he'd always put off. It was like my body knew before I did, he told me, like it was preparing me for something I wasn't ready to see yet. Ray's experience taught me that our bodies don't just react to stress or routine. They also sense hope, anticipation, and the quiet arrival of blessings we're too busy to notice. The lesson is simple. Pay attention to the language of your body. Let those chills, that gentle heat, that sudden rush of energy be more than curiosities. Let them be a conversation with the divine. As we turn the page to the next chapter of this journey, remember that the whispers of the soul often begin as a tingle in the skin, a flutter in the chest. They're not random. They're signs that your hidden wealth is already drawing near, one heartbeat at a time. There's a saying that what breaks us also shapes us, and I've come to see just how true that can be. It's easy to think of betrayal or loss as the end of the story, a dead end where nothing good can grow. But the divine has a way of turning our deepest wounds into unexpected blessings. Let me tell you about my friend, Jack. In his 50s, he discovered that a close friend had been taking credit for his work for years. It felt like the ultimate betrayal, and for a while, it nearly crushed him. But Jack didn't let that betrayal define him. He used it as fuel to build something even better, business that was truly his, with no shadows or secrets. Years later, he told me, that betrayal gave me the freedom I didn't know I needed. Jack's story is a testament to the quiet resilience that lives inside us all. It's a reminder that even the most painful endings can become the soil for new beginnings. The divine doesn't erase our pain, it repurposes it, turning our scars into sources of strength. So if you're still feeling the sting of an old wound or the echo of a broken trust, know this: it's not wasted. It's a chapter in your story that's already been rewritten with hope. And as we continue, we'll see how these moments of heartbreak can become the doorways to the hidden wealth that's been waiting for you all along. Some people say that the ones who came before us never really leave. They linger in the quiet spaces, offering their protection like a soft, steady light. It's a comforting thought, especially when the road ahead feels uncertain, because sometimes the help you need isn't from a stranger or even from your own strength. It's from those who once whispered your name in prayer long before you were born. I remember my grandmother telling me stories of her father, a man she never met, but always felt near. She said that when she faced hard decisions, she would close her eyes and feel his calm presence. I like to think he's watching out for me, she would say. And when she finally decided to buy the small house she'd always dreamed of, it was that invisible hand that gave her courage to sign the papers, even when the numbers didn't add up. This is the quiet power of ancestral protection, the idea that you're not just standing on your own 2 feet, but on the shoulders of every soul who loved you before you even arrived. It's a reminder that your journey is bigger than what you see in the mirror. It's woven into the prayers of those who believed in you when you were still a dream. So when you feel a sudden warmth in your chest or a sense of calm that can't be explained, remember, it might just be those quiet hands at your back, guiding you forward. And as we continue, we'll see how this unseen support helps lift the blocks from your path, making way for the hidden wealth that's already reaching for you. Justice has many faces. In the world we see, it's the gavel in a courtroom or the signature on a contract. But in the world of the spirit, justice doesn't need a witness to be real. It's an unshakable law that even the smallest soul can claim. I remember meeting Harold, a man who spent most of his life working at a small town hardware store. He'd been overlooked and underpaid, always told that some people just don't get ahead. But Harold never let that belief sink into his bones. I may not have proof on paper, he'd say, but I know the universe keeps good books. And he was right. In his retirement, Harold began to see how the kindness he'd offered, the loyalty he'd shown, started to come back to him in ways he never imagined. Neighbors who helped him fix his house, a sudden inheritance he didn't see coming, a sense of peace that money couldn't buy. Harold's story is a gentle lesson in divine justice. What you sow, every kindness, every moment of faith will find its way back to you. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. So as we move forward, hold this thought close: the spiritual courtroom doesn't work on our timeline, but it never forgets. And the next chapter of your story is already unfolding, carrying with it the weight of every right thing you've done, waiting to tip the scales in your favor. There's something magical about the way signs and symbols appear just when you need them most. It's as if the universe is speaking a secret language that only your soul can truly hear. And once you learn to pay attention, those small patterns become a roadmap, guiding you to places you never imagined. I think of a woman I met once, Sarah, who always seemed to see repeating numbers 111, 202, 333 everywhere she went. At first, she brushed them off as coincidence, but the more she noticed, the more they felt like little winks from above. She began to keep a small notebook, jotting down the times and places where these numbers appeared. It became a journal of small miracles, a record of how the divine had been whispering to her all along. Sarah's story taught me that signs don't always have to be dramatic or overwhelming to be real. Sometimes they're just small nudges, a song that brings back a memory, a feather on your path, a dream that feels too vivid to ignore. And while we don't always know what they mean, at first, each one is a reminder that you're not alone on this journey. As we prepare to step into the final chapter of this story, hold these signs close. Let them be a comfort and a compass. Because when the universe speaks in symbols, it's telling you that your hidden wealth is closer than ever, just waiting for the moment you're ready to claim it. There comes a time when what's been hidden isn't meant to stay hidden anymore. It's a moment of quiet revelation, a gentle lifting of the veil, when you realize that the wealth you've been seeking was always within reach. And maybe it's not just about what you can hold in your hands, but what you can hold in your heart. I think of my neighbor, Linda, who spent years thinking she had nothing left to give. After retiring, she felt lost, convinced that her days of purpose were behind her. But in the quiet of her days, she started writing letters, little notes of encouragement to friends and family. What began as a simple habit turned into a small miracle. Those letters found their way into the hands of people who needed them most, and Linda discovered that her hidden wealth was never money or titles. It was the ability to speak hope into someone else's life. Linda's story is a reminder that the divine often reclaims our hidden wealth by showing us what was never really lost. It's the quiet gifts that bloom in the spaces we thought were empty. And it's the gentle hands of the universe that lift the blocks we didn't even know were there. So as we bring this journey to a close, remember this: what's meant for you will always find you. The doors that once seemed locked will open without force. The blessings you thought you'd missed will circle back in ways you never imagined. And the wealth you've been waiting for, it's not coming to you. It's already here, wrapped in every quiet moment of trust, every soft breath of faith, and every whisper that tells you you are ready now